The story of Joseph Fritzl is one of the most chilling and shocking criminal cases of modern times. What seemed like an unimaginable nightmare was, in fact, a reality that lasted for decades in the basement of a seemingly ordinary man's house. A man known as a caring father, a good neighbor, and a model citizen. But behind the closed doors of his home in Amstetten, Austria, he hid a secret that stunned the world. Today, we will recount the story of Joseph Fritzl, which, unfortunately, is not just a script for a horror film. It is a reality that stands as a harrowing example of human cruelty and betrayal. And this story begins much earlier than you might imagine. Joseph Fritzl was born on April 9, 1935, in Austria. His childhood was difficult, but not enough to explain his later actions. His mother was an authoritarian and cruel woman, which likely left a mark on his psyche. However, no one around him could have predicted that this man would be capable of such horrifying deeds. Growing up under the shadow of his mother, and with his father leaving the family when Joseph was just 4, he was raised by his mother alone, and this dependence lasted for many years. But we're not delving into the psychological details of Joseph's early life. What happened later had far deeper consequences, and many believe he had been planning his horrifying scheme for some time. It was an ordinary day for Austrian police in April 2008, when a woman made an unusual request at the local hospital. Her daughter, who had been missing for years, was ill and needed immediate medical attention. Initially, doctors did not suspect that this request would lead to uncovering one of the most horrifying criminal cases in history. Elisabeth Fritzl, Joseph's daughter, had disappeared in 1984. Her mother and other family members believed she had left home to join a religious cult. Her father explained her disappearance by claiming that Elisabeth had written a letter stating her decision to leave. However, the truth was far more horrifying. Joseph Fritzl had constructed a secret bunker beneath his house. This structure had several rooms, and the entrance was concealed. In 1984, he lured his daughter into the basement and locked her in, depriving her of any chance to escape. Over the next 24 years, Elisabeth was imprisoned in this underground cell, where she endured numerous abuses and violence from her father. But the horror did not end there. In the basement, Elisabeth gave birth to 7 children from her father. 3 of these children remained with her in the underground prison, never seeing the light of day. Joseph took the other 3 children to the surface, explaining that Elisabeth had left them on the doorstep, as if she was living somewhere far away. When these children appeared on the doorstep, Joseph and his wife Rosemarie adopted them. Neighbors saw Joseph as a reliable and upstanding citizen. No one could have suspected that beneath their very feet, a nightmare was unfolding. The crime was revealed only after Elisabeth's eldest daughter, 19-year-old Kirsten, fell seriously ill. Realizing he might lose his victim, Joseph decided to seek medical help. This decision proved crucial in exposing his crimes. When Elisabeth and Kirsten were taken to the hospital, medical professionals began to suspect something was amiss, as they had never seen these individuals before. The police began their investigation. Joseph attempted to maintain his story that Elisabeth had left and abandoned the children. However, when law enforcement interrogated his daughter, she, after prolonged persuasion and promises of safety, revealed the horrifying truth about her life in the basement. In April 2008, Joseph Fritzl was arrested. Investigators uncovered the bunker where Elisabeth and her children had spent so many years. This place was designed so that no one could escape, and the sound could not reach the surface. Even though people lived literally above this horror, they had never heard cries or cries for help. The trial of Joseph Fritzl began in March 2009. He confessed to all charges: the murder of 1 child, a baby who died due to lack of medical care, numerous rapes, false imprisonment, and the court found him guilty, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. What can we say about Joseph Fritzl's motivation? Some experts believe his actions might have been driven by twisted needs for control and power. He meticulously planned to ensure that no one would ever discover his crimes, and for over 2 decades, he succeeded. But, as in any story, the truth eventually comes to light. This story raises many questions about the nature of evil, trust, and human capacity for the worst acts. Can we truly know a person we consider close? What drives people to hide such terrible secrets? Elisabeth Fritzl, being not just a monster but an ordinary person, became a symbol of human cruelty. His story serves as a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are those we know and trust the most. The Fritzl story will remain a dark chapter in modern criminal history. It is a reminder that the truth can be far scarier than any fictional horror.